instead of for ourselves. That is where we've got to learn how to focus. And not, because we've been conditioned to be dependent and helpless. It's learned helplessness. That, I always say, if you throw us in the water, we yell help. Without thinking about the fact that, well, maybe we can swim. We can swim. But we've been taught that we can't. So that's what, there's so much more I can talk about. But what I really want is I want a discussion, I want dialogue, because this is not my book. This is our book. And I want you to look at it as our book. And I want to get some feedback from you now and moving into the future as you read it and reread it and discuss it and use it on a day-to-day basis. It's a manual, it's a how-to. It is not just something that you read and say, oh, that was nice. This is a book that you can live. So with that, I'd like to have some discussion.
Okay, I have two questions. Where did the term post-racism come from? Is it because we have an African-American president, and what are your views on this so-called term? Mm-hmm. And the other question is, how has the impact of BI, we refer to it, Black Inferiority Complex, affected our educational systems, specifically our teachers teaching and our students learning? Okay.
The first question is post-racial, where did it come from? Mm-hmm. Some propagandists came up with that. That's propaganda. We've got a black president that was essentially put in by the whole nation. We talk about the acceptable exception in the book. You know, and when you, part of the deal is you set up propaganda where you have a Barack Obama, you have a Colin Powell, you have an Oprah Winfrey, you have, you name it. And those things become shields. They become protective mechanisms for those people who would continue to do ill to the black people. And so the idea is, so if you scream and holler about the ills that are going on, wait a minute, no, you can't say that. We got a black president, so we can't possibly be doing anything racist, you know. So that's part of the ploy. This whole, we can forget about it now. We can forget about a whole group of people who are disenfranchised still, psychologically, and just move on about our business and chalk it up to something else like, well, they just don't care, they're slovenly, they're no count, you know, they're just a bunch of ne'er-do-wells, so forget it. Second question having to do with
Black inferiority in education.
In education, we have a chapter called These Will Do. These will do. And it all has to do with the lower level of expectations that we have of ourselves and each other. Education is a very broad term that needs to be more specified. To be able to read and to write and to understand what you read and write is one thing. The real thing is to understand the truth. What is the truth? And to be able to understand our truth and our history and where we basically come from and where we are. If you learn that in 1492 Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and you know, that's a fact. But you need to also understand all of the elements about the founding of America and what was really going on. You know, it's not just reciting dates, but understanding the role that we played. We need to understand what Abraham Lincoln did, other than, you know, just basically freed the slaves. We need to understand all the things that were going on at that time. So we need to understand relevant facts about our history and how it applies to where we are, how we got here, and what we need to do about it. So I am in favor of relevant education. Not just, and for that reason, you might even call it Afrocentric education. Next question. Next question? Did you have your hand up? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
Thank you very much for this wonderful piece of work that you have here. You know, I work with a youth group, and I struggle with, how, and our intent is to improve their self-esteem, give them a sense of self-worth, help them to motivate themselves to be the best that they can be. And I wonder, I think it's important for you to understand your history so that you'll know the past, so that you can, use the past to go forward. But, I wonder, so many of them are so undereducated that they don't even know about the history of slavery. And, I wonder if it's productive to go deeply into that history so that they'll know from whence they came. Or do we start where they are and, try to build upon that and, to just help them to understand what they're looking at in the media and how it does degrade them and, start at that level.
I think for me, it all starts with the power of images and words. And our first mission is to start working on moving negative images and words back and moving positive images and words forward. Because you can teach about slavery, but it's a real abstract concept. What we've got to do is we've got to start dealing with developing a preponderance of positive images so people will feel it, because the first thing is, how do you feel about yourself? And how we feel about ourselves is really being determined by propaganda. So that's what we start, and we can do that. I mean, we can start working on the lyrics and working on the images and working on the TV shows and the movies that reinforce this negative idea of who we are. And once we do that, then we'll have people who are more interested in learning about, the past. So I think that's where we have to start.
So you're saying just start with the images of where they are.
We need, when you see stuff that is negative, that moves black people back instead of forward, you call it out. You call it out publicly. You send it to the website. You call it out to the individuals. You call the sponsors, the advertisers. You come together with other organizations and say, hey, this is not acceptable and we got to do something about it. And we can.
But how do you do that when you have those powerhouses like the Tyler Perrys and the Oprah Winfreys? For example, that movie Precious that was just out, where it depicts a teenage girl having 2 kids raped by her mother and father.
Right.
What is that saying for I have a 16-year-old. That's the only movie she saw that was, in years that has been out about a black teenager.
Right.
And it was such a negative thing. How do you...
We have to speak out about it. I mean, that's the reason we're doing this, is to have a place for you to go to speak out about it. And then find, there are